The video opens in a sunlit alien-occupied village on Earth. Coulter, a shirtless ex-military human, walks out of a stone dwelling, stunned, disoriented, and unsure how he got here. Suddenly, a visibly pregnant alien woman with shimmering violet skin and vivid green hair blocks his path. Her eyes blaze with fury and betrayal as she points at him, speaking in a language that echoes like music through stone. Then, in broken English, she cries, "You can't leave. That baby is yours." Human. Months earlier, Earth's skies cracked open with emerald fire. The day of arrival, when the Girolans descended not in conquest but in desperation. Their homeworld was dying, their matriarchs pregnant, and they sought sanctuary. Coulter, a survivalist and former scout, lived off-grid after the collapse. Wars. He wanted nothing to do with the alien politics that divided nations. But when his woodland camp was seized by a Zirelan scouting party, led by Olexa, tall, commanding, and otherworldly, he was captured, interrogated, then strangely treated with care. Olexa wasn't like the others. She spoke in metaphors, asked him about dreams, offered food laced with biohealing compounds. She kept him isolated, not as a prisoner, but almost like a guest. Eventually, curiosity turned into conversations. Conversations led to understanding. And then came the night of the red moon, when the walls between species melted and something deeply primal connected them. Coulter never intended to stay. He left quietly that morning, thinking it was just a moment, a strange, beautiful mistake. But now, months later, he's been found. And Olexa? She's no longer the stoic commander. She's furious, hurt, pregnant. Her tribe watches silently, from doorways, judging, waiting for his next move. The child she carries, the one now stirring beneath her radiant skin, might just change everything. I stared at her, heart thudding louder than the wind stirring the leaves. Olexa's belly rose and fell with her breath, calm but tight, like a storm waiting to break. Her finger remained pointed at my chest, though her eyes, they told a deeper story. Hurt, betrayal, and something else I couldn't name. "I didn't know," I said. My voice cracked like old wood. She narrowed her glowing eyes. "You knew. You chose to forget." The air around us trembled with silent eyes. Her people, tall and silent, watched from behind stone doors and wooden arches, their expressions unreadable, their bodies still as statues. I was the only human here, again, but this time, I wasn't a guest. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, stepping forward. My voice dropped. "Why now?" Her hand lowered. She looked away for a heartbeat. Then she spoke not in English, but in her native tongue, a melodic, trembling rhythm that sounded more like a song than a sentence. "Because you would have run." Even though I barely understood it, I felt the meaning like it was carved into my bones. She turned and walked toward one of the huts, her hips swaying with the weight of new life. The gesture wasn't a command, but I followed. The stone house was small, dimly lit by shifting orbs that hovered like fireflies near the ceiling. It smelled of crushed herbs and earth. Inside, a low table held an unfinished piece of woven cloth. On it, stitched in delicate alien threading, was a swirling pattern I somehow recognized. The night sky. The constellations from my world. From Earth. "I tried to find you," she said softly, standing at the window. "Your scent vanished in the river, your footprints scattered by wind. I thought maybe it was a dream. What we did." My chest tightened. I remembered that night. The flickering blue fires, the sound of her laugh echoing over the rocks, the feel of her skin against mine. I hadn't spoken about it to anyone. It was too surreal, too intimate. A bridge between worlds built in a single reckless night. "You said it wouldn't mean anything," I said, unsure if I was trying to defend myself or accuse her. "I said it because I thought you wouldn't understand." She turned to face me. But I was wrong. She stepped closer, and now I saw it clearly, her hands cradling her belly not just out of instinct but reverence. There was something sacred about it to her. This child wasn't an accident. It was hope. a bridge between two species. And I was the missing half. I sank onto the stone bench behind me, suddenly aware of the weight pressing on my shoulders. What happens now? I asked. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she reached into a satchel on the wall and pulled out a narrow glowing cylinder, a datapod. She handed it to me. It shimmered to life in my hand, displaying a spiral of genetic code. One strand blue, the other gold. My kind cannot lie with our DNA, she said. It is sacred truth. This child carries both our blood. I stared at the spiral. My spiral. Her spiral. Intertwined. The elders want the child, she said, but they do not want you. That snapped my attention up. Why? You are dangerous, unpredictable. You taught me to question orders, to think freely. Her lips curled slightly. You made me disobey. I thought about the way we'd argued by the river, how I'd told her stories of human independence, of choice. To her, it had probably sounded like rebellion, but now here it was, growing inside her. She stepped closer again, her voice dropping to a whisper. They want to remove you from the story, but I won't let them. You think they'll hurt me? She didn't answer. A quiet beat passed. Then finally she knelt in front of me, her long fingers brushing the inside of my wrist. It wasn't seductive. It was pleading. I don't want you to leave again, she said. Even if you never meant to stay. I cannot raise this child alone, not here, not with them watching. Something deep inside me stirred, something raw, painful, ancient. It wasn't duty. It was something else. I reached out, hesitating for just a second, then placed my hand gently over hers. Warm. Real. I'm not running, I said. She blinked, and the smallest tear glittered at the edge of her silver lash. That moment didn't last long. The door slammed open, and 3 Shirellan warriors stepped inside. Tall, clad in carved bone armor, faces hidden behind iridescent masks. The lead one stepped forward, voice like wind on metal. You have been summoned, he said to Alexa. The council waits. She stiffened. They will wait longer. The warrior looked at me, tilting his head slightly. The human should not remain here. Alexa stepped between us. He is the father. He has a right. There was a pause. Then the warrior turned without a word and left, the others following. The door creaked shut behind them. Alexa turned to me. They won't stop. Not until you're gone. I stood. Then let's not give them a reason. She raised an eyebrow. What are you suggesting? I want to meet them, I said. Face to face, let them see I'm not a threat. Her eyes flashed with something between admiration and concern. You don't know them? No, I said. But I know fear. And if we hide, they win. She nodded slowly. Then tomorrow, at dawn. That night I didn't sleep. I sat beside the hearth while Alexa lay in a shallow nest of layered moss and warmth, hand always on her stomach. Once she stirred and whispered in her language, maybe a lullaby, maybe a prayer. I didn't understand the words, but I understood their weight. In the stillness, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just part of this now. I was necessary. The council hall stood at the edge of the settlement like a wound carved into the earth, half stone, half crystal, humming softly with alien resonance. Morning sun filtered through the blue-veined windows, casting fractured light across the chamber floor. I walked at Alexa's side, every step watched by the villagers, their faces unreadable, their bodies rigid with suspicion. She didn't speak as we entered. Her hand hovered just close enough to mine to be felt, but never touched. This wasn't intimacy, it was strategy. Standing beside me was already rebellion enough. Inside, 7 figures sat on crescent-shaped thrones. All female, all elder. Their skin shimmered like moonlight through fog, their eyes opaque and heavy with ancient judgment. They didn't blink. One of them rose, robes flowing behind her like liquid steel. You bring the human, she said. Her voice echoed unnaturally like it bounced through space before reaching us. Why? Alexa bowed. Because he is the father. He must be heard. Another counselor scoffed. The child is Shirellen. His presence is irrelevant. No, Alexa said firmly. The child is both. Deny it, and you doom our future. There, gazes shifted to me. Me. The soft-skinned outsider with a pulse too fast, eyes too readable. I cleared my throat. I'm not here to threaten your people, I said. I didn't even know what I left behind. Until now. The first elder tilted her head. And yet you did leave. The accusation stung, but I didn't flinch. Would you have stayed if you thought it was just a dream? One night, you gave no warning, no reason, no goodbye. Alexa stepped forward. I told him nothing. I feared. What would happen if I admitted what was growing inside me? The fear was justified, one elder murmured. Another leaned forward, her face harsh. What does he offer our people now? What can a human give a child born between stars and exile? I took a breath, hands shaking slightly. I don't know what your customs are. I don't know your traditions or rules. But I know this. Children need both sides of who they are. If you take that from them, they'll grow hollow, lost, just like I was. They were silent. A strange energy filled the room, like the walls themselves were listening. Alexa moved to my side. He belongs to the child, and the child belongs to both of us. The council sat motionless, then the eldest raised her hand. You ask for what cannot be given without consequence. I leaned forward. Then don't give it for me. Give it for her. For the baby. There was a long silence. Finally, the elder spoke a single word in Shirellen. The guards at the edge of the chamber lowered their weapons. The tension drained from the air, but only slightly. You may stay, the elder said, until the birth. She turned to Alexa. But if this child endangers our survival, if its human blood corrupts the line, she won't, Alexa said sharply. The counselor's voice dropped. She? Alexa smiled faintly. I have seen her in my dreams. We left the hall without a single word spoken between us, but I could feel it in the air. Something had shifted. Tolerance wasn't acceptance, but it was a start. The child had bought me time, maybe more. Back at her dwelling, she collapsed onto the woven cushions, rubbing slow circles over her swollen belly. Her breath came shorter now. I knelt beside her, unsure of what to do, but knowing I had to be there. I didn't know it would. Happen so fast, I whispered. Our children grow quickly, she murmured. Half of her is used to hardship. The other half adapts. Her hand found mine, fingers trembling. Are you afraid? Terrified, I admitted. But I won't leave again. She smiled softly. Good. Because I can't let you go now. The next days passed in a haze. I learned pieces of their language, watched how the Jiralans prepared for birth with chants and energy pulses and braided talismans made from their own hair. They painted symbols of protection on the stone walls. Some still looked at me like I was a contaminant. Others like I was the beginning of something uncertain. Late one night, as a storm rolled over the mountains, Alexa gripped my hand and gasped. Her eyes flared gold in the dim light. It's time, she whispered. The entire village awoke. Midwives flooded the dwelling. Elders arrived with glowing stones and bowls of steaming alien incense. I was nearly pushed out, but Alexa's cry pierced the tension. He stays. So I stayed. Her pain echoed through the house like thunder. She sang and screamed in a language I barely understood, and I held her through every contraction, her nails digging into my arms, her tears hot against my chest. I whispered to her nonsense stories, earth songs. She gripped them like lifelines. Then silence. Then the first breath. A sound so fragile it cracked the air. And in that moment I saw her, small, violet-skinned, a wisp of green hair already forming on her head. Her eyes opened slowly. Not black like her mother's, not brown like mine. Silver, like starlight. They placed her in Alexa's arms, and the alien warrior I had come to know as fierce and proud broke into tears. I knelt beside them, hand on her shoulder. "She's beautiful," I breathed. "She's yours," Alexa said. "Ours." In that instant, it didn't matter what the council thought. It didn't matter what species we came from or how impossible this all was. She was real, and she was the future. As dawn broke and the village stood silent beneath the pinkening sky, I realized something profound. They weren't just watching to see if I was worthy. They were waiting to see if she would survive. If we would survive. And as I held that tiny child in my arms, her tiny fingers wrapping around one of mine, I knew the truth. We already had. The days after her birth were a quiet miracle. Everything about her was a contradiction. Small, yet impossibly strong. Alien, yet unmistakably human. She never cried for long. Her eyes seemed to understand things she shouldn't. The other children kept their distance, unsure whether she was a blessing or a breach of everything their elders believed. Alexa named her Sirea, which meant hope hidden in thunder. The name fit. We didn't leave the dwelling much at first. Alexa needed time to heal, and I needed to understand what I was now. Not just a father, not just a man out of place, but a thread in something larger, something older than I could ever understand. I helped where I could, boiled roots, learned the rhythm of their customs, carved my hands raw repairing one of the outbuildings just to earn a single nod from an elder. Every small act was a step deeper into a world that still wasn't sure if I belonged. Then came the sickness. It started with one of the hunters. Blistered skin, strange convulsions, followed by silence. He died in hours. The same symptoms swept through others. Some recovered, others didn't. Panic spread faster than the illness. The council blamed the breach. Me. Their eyes returned to Sirea like she was the match that lit the flame. They warned me this might happen, Alexa said, one night holding our daughter tight to her chest. If the human blood unbalanced her nature, she's not to blame, I said. But even I heard the doubt in my voice. Alexa turned to me, eyes fierce. Then prove it. So I went to the archives. The Jirellans stored memory in crystals, long rods of glass-like material humming with resonance. With Alexa's permission, I gained entry. I didn't know what I was searching for until I found a record, sealed in violet casing, an ancient joining, thousands of years ago, between a Shiralan and another being. Not a human, but close. The result had been a child with silver eyes. The child hadn't brought sickness. She brought healing. I took the crystal to the council, stood in the same chamber where they once threatened to expel me. There's precedent, I said. It's happened before, a mixed child, not death, but evolution. They listened, some of them, others sneered. That record is myth. No, I said. It's history. Buried because it didn't fit your fear. Then Sirea began to change. She glowed at night. Soft pulses from her skin like moonlight on still water. Her laughter could calm even the sickest of villagers. One night I watched her place her hand on an elder's brow, and within a day, that elder walked again. It wasn't coincidence. Sirea was healing them. Alexa watched in silence. One night, long after the others had gone to sleep, she whispered to me under the stars. She's the future, Coulter. But not just ours. You think she's some kind of prophet? No. I think she's balance. The sickness didn't stop, but it slowed. Those who touched Sirea recovered faster. The others, now desperate, began to come to our home. Quiet, shamefaced, with outstretched hands. They no longer saw her as a mistake. They saw her as salvation. Then the outsiders came. Ships that didn't belong to Jirella. Not humans either. Raiders. Smugglers. Ones who tracked Shiralan energy signatures and hunted hybrid anomalies like Sirea. They landed under a red moon. No warning. No message. Just the shimmer of energy blades and the roar of thrusters. I ran to the tower to sound the alarm, But it was already too late. One of the outposts burned. We fought back, side by side. Alexa was a force of nature, all fury and precision. I had learned enough to wield one of their pulse lances. I wasn't perfect, but I wasn't helpless anymore either. Soraya cried once, and every tree in the surrounding forest bent toward the settlement like they heard her. We held them off for 3 days. On the 4th, the enemy reached the inner walls. They wanted the child. One of the raiders caught me alone near the temple wall, dragging me forward with blood on his gloves. "Where is she?" he hissed. I said nothing. He raised his blade, and then he was gone, reduced to dust in a single flash of light. Alexa stood behind him, breathless, eyes burning white-hot. "No one touches our family," she said. In the final moments of the siege, Soraya stood at the edge of the garden, arms raised, glowing so brightly the entire valley was bathed in her light. The enemy stopped. Some dropped their weapons. Others turned and fled as if their own bodies betrayed them. The rest were swallowed by the earth itself. When the dust cleared, the council came to us, not with judgment, but with reverence. "She is more than balance," one whispered. "She is the bridge." The village rebuilt. Slowly, cautiously, but this time they didn't rebuild around tradition. They rebuilt around her and around us. No one asked me to leave again. I stayed. Not because I was trapped, or obligated, or afraid, but because I chose to. Soraya grew quickly, more quickly than any human child, though Alexa said it was normal for their kind. Within a cycle she could speak 3 languages. Within 2 she could shape light with her fingers and call birds from the trees. But at night, she would always crawl into my arms, curl against my chest, and ask me for stories of Earth. "I'll take you someday," I promised her. "When it's safe." "Will they like me there?" she asked once. I kissed her forehead. "They'll love you. Because you'll help them heal too." And I meant it. Alexa and I sat on the rooftop that night, watching our daughter chase firelight across the courtyard. She leaned her head on my shoulder. "You were never just a visitor," she whispered. "I know," I said, and I finally did. Because sometimes love doesn't need to begin with understanding. Sometimes it begins with collision. 2 souls crashing into each other with no plan, no map. And from that collision something new is born. Something worth protecting. Something that changes everything. Forever.